People in Perspective. I'm Rebecca Fernandez, and my guest for this edition is voice teacher Dan Mackey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, to start off the show, can I talk about what you do when you're not teaching here at RB?
When I'm not teaching here at RB, yes. I also teach at a little music studio in Western Springs called Music Makers. Okay. And I sing for an opera company, the North Shore Opera Hour. I cantor for a church on the West Side, Immaculate Heart of Mary, and I work with a professional group called the Lakeside Singers.
Okay. And what is that like?
It's really hectic, but super fun. I couldn't do anything else, but you know, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of driving. Me and my little Yaris, we're pals.
What inspired you to go into theater?
Well, you know, when I was 7, I saw Donny Osmond in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat downtown, and I said to my mom, I said, I have to do this. This is what I have to do, and I haven't looked back.
All right. And what productions have you been in, like performing?
I have been in, I was just in a Mikado recently, Gilbert and Sullivan. Mm-hmm. I was in a Sweeney Todd last year. That was really fun.
That must have been.
Oh, it was super fun. I was the judge, and so everything I said was like this, and I just had crazy eyes the whole time. And it was fun because sometimes I wouldn't separate from the character, like just in daily life, so I'd be teaching like this. It was fun. And then right before Sweeney Todd, I was in Don Giovanni with American Chamber Opera, and I played a raging zombie, and so I sang and looked mad like this. So a lot of angry characters lately. I don't know.
Do you have any funny stories or funny experiences on stage or during rehearsals or anything like that?
Yeah, during Giovanni, I had to make an entrance, and due to technical difficulties, we didn't have a backstage. So during Act 2, I had to army crawl under all of these chairs, probably 50 feet, of just dusty under an altar chairs, and so here I am, in my costume, in full makeup, just going for it, and I can see people on stage, they can see me, but the audience can't, so they're looking so, it was really fun, and then I would grab them a little, when the audience couldn't see it, pull their hair.
Do you have any other interests besides theaters, any other non-theater related jobs?
Yeah, well, not any other jobs, but I do love to draw. I'm a chronic doodler. I mean, everything, even all my sheet music just has little doodles on it. I'm particularly fond of Pokemon because, what 25-year-old isn't, right? Exactly. Right, very mature. But, I have fun. And so, yeah, so I love to doodle, and I love to run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk about what it's like teaching at RB, a school you went to?
It's really cool teaching at RB. Now, my former teacher, Erin Matante, is one of my best friends, and now we're colleagues, and it's so cool to see that evolve, and I love it, and I love her, and, Diane Morelli, she will always be a second mother to me, and even now, into my adulthood, she's she says things, she's like, am I being too intrusive? I'm like, no, I need it, thank you. And so it's wonderful, and it's so wonderful to see how the kids grow and change, and how I used to be one of those, and now I'm on the other side. It's really neat.
And would you be willing to continue teaching?
Of course. Oh my gosh, I love teaching at RV. I love you kids.
And what advice would you give to people who are going into theater and music?
I would tell them they have to be very flexible, and they have to broaden their definition of what they really want, because there are very few, especially in this economy, in this country, in this culture, there are very few performance opportunities that are very the same. And so they have to really be flexible and willing to apply themselves to a lot of things in order to feel fulfilled,
Okay. And going into theater, did you have some sort of backup plan on what you would want to do if it didn't?
I did not. And so cool that it's going okay. I just said this is, and really, to go into it, you have to have this mentality: is this is all I can do. Otherwise, I'm just floundering in life because I need to perform.
Yeah. And if you weren't teaching theater, what would you want to do? Like, what job?
What would I want to do?
Yeah,
Oh,
what
gosh.
job outside of theater?
I can't perform at all.
No. Oh. Well, maybe not theater-wise. You could maybe.
Could I be a model? I'd love to be a model. I would love to be like a scary movie model, like Pan's Labyrinth, because like I have really weird hands, like, and they do things, and so I would love to be like a monster movie monster.
So sort of like one of those models that do like on the show Face Off, like that sort of thing.
I love Face Off, absolutely. I'm allergic to latex, which is terrible, so that killed that dream. But if I could, in a perfect world, I would totally do that.
Yeah, and when you're doing music, like what's sort of different about like how you have to like change your voice when you're singing?
Well, that's a really good question. For this group I sing with, the Lakeside Singers, we do a lot of pop and jazz too, and so it requires a lot less. A much different technique involved, and so it's a lot smoother of a style. There's no vibrato, and we have to be like laser sharp in the pitches. In opera, we can kind of like wiggle around a little because we're allowed to have a much bigger vibrato. So if you don't know your music so well, it's okay. No, I'm not saying that. Totally. But yeah, so in the varying styles, we have to change it up.
And like when like you're doing like other productions, other places, like what problems do you sort of run into?
What problems do I run into? I tend to throw myself into things a little too much. Like with the judge, sometimes I would just be a little more like this, and that can affect my personal life, and also my voice a little bit, because if I'm always in that kind of mode of production, it can be a little taxing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, things to think about.
Well, like when you are teaching or when you're like performing, do you have to like change the way you act around other people, like being professional to just being who you are?
Certainly. I teach at the music studio in Western Springs much younger kids, and sometimes I can't make the same jokes that I would with a high schooler. Not saying I say anything terribly inappropriate, but there's a different way you approach them, and a different way you speak to them. And there's a different way that I approach my students than I would my colleagues in the opera company. Okay. So, yeah, we do have to, adjust ourselves a little bit based on who are around.
All right, well, we're getting close to the end of the show.
Oh, darn.
Well, thank you for coming to the show today. I'm Rebecca Fernandez, and see you next time on People in Perspective.